Now, for most people, they think that retiring at 55 is a pipe dream, something that isn't achievable on the average salary. But today, I'm going to show you exactly how you can retire at age 55 on the UK average salary. I'm going to do this for a single person, and then I'm also going to do this for a couple with a child, just to show that depending on your situation, it can be achievable. But if you're new here, my name's Ben, I'm a financial planner, and my aim is to help as many people as possible gain more clarity and confidence around their financial plan. So what we're going to do in this video is basically use historical market data to replicate an example of what could have happened to someone if they're retired at any point over the last 100 years. This then gives us a percentage chance of success. So effectively what this means is that based on the last 100 years of market data, if someone had retired at any point during those 100 years at age 55, would they have had sufficient income and assets to be able to support their expenses for the remainder of their life? So on screen now, you can see the different criteria we are using here. So in the first example, we've used a single person who's currently age 36, and they've got £50,000 saved in their pension already. Now they're earning about £40,000, which as we stand today is about the average for a full-time UK earner. And they're spending about £20,000 a year on discretionary and essential expenses, so about £1,600 a month. And in addition to that, we've factored in a mortgage cost for this person of £800 a month. You can see that they're contributing the standard for pension contributions, so that is 5% from them via salary sacrifice and 3% from their employer. And they're taking a medium to high level of risk with their pension, so about 70% higher risk, i.e. equity, and about 30% lower risk, i.e. bonds. And as you can see, their target retirement age is 55. And as with all good financial plans, we have modelled this assuming they live to age 95. Okay, so based on the current variables and factors that we've included on this person's personal situation, what are the chances that they can actually retire at 55 and have a successful financial plan? i.e., can they fund their expenses for the remainder of their life? So again, on screen now, I am showing you the percentage chance of success for this financial plan. So again, just a reminder, this is based on 100 years of historical market data. If they're retired at any point over those 100 years, what are the chances that that plan would have been successful? So you can see currently, based on this person's financial plan, there's only a 23% chance that they can retire at 55 and fund their expenses for the remainder of their life. So clearly this is not a great position to be in. And as financial planners, when we're putting together these financial plans and crunching the numbers for individuals, we like to ensure that there's at least an 80 to 90% chance of success based on historical market returns. So what can we do here to try and improve this person's position and actually make it a bit more feasible for them to retire at 55? Okay, so the first thing we've looked at is them making more contributions to their pension. So again, you can see on screen now that we've increased their pension contributions from 5% to 7%. And you can see the huge difference this makes already. So you've gone from a 23% chance of success to a 60% chance of success. So again, this is not a huge difference in terms of what we're factoring in here. It is a slight increase in their pension contributions. And you can see here, because this person is 36, they've got another 19 years of those contributions to really do the hard work and compounding for them. So although we've only increased their contributions by about 2%, we've actually nearly trebled the percentage chance of success of their financial plan. So this really does give you some context and some insight, I suppose, into the power of actually increasing your pension contributions only by a small amount and the difference that can actually make over the longer term. Okay, so what more can we do? Because clearly 60% is a lot better than where we started, but it's still a fair way off that 80 to 90% mark that I spoke about previously. So what we've modelled next is a scenario whereby they've increased the risk that they're taking with their pension. So if you go back to what I was speaking about previously, we're in a position where this person is taking a higher level of risk with 70% of their pension and a lower level of risk with 30%. So what about if instead we take a higher level of risk with 100% of their pension? And again, you can see here the impact that this can have. So we're now in a position where not only are we increasing their pension contributions, we're also increasing the level of risk they're taking. And again, this increases the percentage chance of success of this person's financial plan to 80%. Now, as I said, this is kind of what we're aiming for as a base level. So anything below 80% we would say is probably unsustainable over the longer term. So the fact we've now got to a position where this individual has an 80% chance of success based on historical market returns is a great place to be. But can we do more to improve this? Now, one criticism that I've had in videos like this in the past is that we model these to age 95, and that is because as financial planners, we want to be as conservative and cautious as we can with these financial plans. However, I fully appreciate that the average life expectancy is a lot less than this. So again, on screen now you can see us factoring in a reduced life expectancy of 84. So this is currently the average life expectancy for a 36-year-old in the UK. And again, you can see that this does have an impact, but it doesn't have, honestly, as much of an impact as I thought it might. So this goes from increasing the percentage chance of success from 80% to 83%. So again, you can see, although we've effectively cut the, I suppose, the how long that money needs to last by 9 years, that only has a 3% difference in terms of the percentage chance of success. So you can see really that the two bigger levers here that you can pull are the pension contributions themselves and the actual investment strategy you are taking with your pension. Okay, so great. We've looked at an individual who potentially can get to the point of retiring at 55. But clearly I'm fully aware that, a lot of people are going to be in a couple and they're probably going to have kids. So is this actually attainable for people in a couple that have got a child? So again, on screen, I'm going to show you now a new scenario that I've built based on a different set of assumptions for a couple with a child. Now, before we go on, I am actually offering some free clarity calls around these types of financial plans because, I appreciate everyone's scenario is very different. And although I've assumed a certain set of assumptions here, these numbers can vary massively depending on your own personal situation. So if it would be of interest to you, I have left a link in the description to book a free 15-minute call with me just to discuss your kind of personal situation and work out if I think I can actually help you in building your financial plan. So if you think that would be of interest to you, please do book in a call with me using the link in the description. Now, the main differences are I've included a double amount of income. So we've got £40,000 each, so £80,000 between them. The thing I've also factored in is the fact that in this scenario, I've assumed this person has just had a kid. So I've assumed that one of the two, either the husband or the wife, are likely to work part-time for the next 5 years before the child goes to school. So in this scenario, I've factored in a part-time salary of £20,000 for one of the individuals. I've also increased the assumed spending from about £20,000 a year to £30,000 a year because clearly two people are going to be spending more on things like food, bills, etc. than one person. So about £2,500 per month of expenses. And I've also increased the assumed mortgage cost. So I've doubled this from £800 a month previously to £1,600 a month now. Now, clearly the biggest difference between these two are the childcare costs involved. And for someone that doesn't have a child currently, it's very difficult for me to say exactly how much this sort of thing would cost. But based on some research I've done, it sounds like the average cost from age 0 to 18 is about £14,000 a year on average. So I factored this in here at about £1,100 a month. And again, this is an assumed cost from now until the child reaches age 18. And you'll see the other variables have remained the same. So we've still got the same pension contributions going in. We've still got the same assumed pension pot for each of them. We've also still got the same assumed investment risk within their pensions and the same longevity, i.e. we're assuming the plan needs to last until they're age 95. So this is the interesting part because you would expect that when we factored in an increased spending in general, we've also factored in a pretty hefty amount for childcare over the next 18 years, that you would almost expect that the percentage chance of success on the baseline plan, if you like, is less. But you can actually see here there's a 65% chance that this couple could retire at age 55, having still incurred those childcare costs for the next 18 years. And the big reason for this is because, again, we factored in 2 lots of state pension here. So in the original scenario, we've got one person having £12,000 a year of state pension, whereas in this scenario, we've got 2 people. So clearly that makes a huge difference in terms of their retirement plan. Now again, clearly this is a good position to be in, but it's still not quite at that kind of 80 to 90% mark that we would like. So again, what I've done here is I've applied the same assumptions we used previously for the individual to the couple. So firstly, we've got an increase in pension contributions for each of them. So again, from 5% contributions to 7%. And you can see the impact that this has. So this has gone from a 65% chance of success to a 75% chance of success. We've then gone a step further to say, okay, well, if they increase their risk, so moving from 70% higher risk, 30% lower risk, to 100% higher risk for both of them, this increases the percentage chance of success to 96%, which, to be honest, was quite a surprise for me that it has this much of an impact. But again, it's because you've got two pension pots there doing the hard work and heavy lifting. So increasing the risk that they are taking can have a huge impact. And finally, taking account for maybe a shortened life expectancy. So instead of planning to age 95, we're planning to age 84. But interestingly, you can see that this actually doesn't have an impact on the percentage chance of success. And that's because it's so high already at 96% that even though we are shortening the duration of the plan, if you like, by 9 years, it actually doesn't impact the percentage chance of success, which I found quite interesting. Okay, so there you have it. There is some concrete evidence based on historical market data and various set of assumptions how it is actually possible to retire at age 55, whether you are single or if you're in a couple with a child. Now, clearly, as I say, there are a lot of variables here that can have a massive impact on the sustainability of your financial plan. And, you know, some people might argue that I've undercooked the expenses, the general expenses, the childcare costs, but based on the averages that I've been able to find online, this does actually seem like it is feasible. So hopefully you've got some value from the video. If you did, please do like and subscribe to the video because it would really mean a lot to me. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.